Hi everyone, welcome to our creative writing lesson. We are Bright Light Education. We're an education business based in London but operating all over the world. We provide high quality educational support for 5 to 18-year-olds. With Bright Light Education, we provide a number of services. Firstly, we offer courses. We have courses in creative writing, in comprehension, in 11 plus preparation, and in phonics as well. All our courses are online, they're fully interactive, they're with just a small group of children, and they are led by qualified, experienced teachers. Writing is marked by the teachers so that feedback can be given to the children, and this really allows for wonderful progress to be made. We also have a one-to-one tuition side of our business through our tutor referral agency. We have a number of fantastic, qualified, experienced teachers who tutor through us, and this is for primary and secondary school children. We have a number of educational books as well that can support children with creative writing, with comprehension, with 11 plus preparation, and we also have some phonics books as well. Our webinars are there to support parents helping their children with their education. We have webinars on 11 plus, on creative writing, on phonics. And finally, we work with schools as well to offer them creative writing after school clubs and 11 plus after school clubs, sort of preparation courses for an after school club as well. We offer teachers CPD training too. Here are a few of our reviews that we've had. You can check out our reviews on Google, on Trustpilot, and via our website as well. We've also got some Amazon reviews through our books that we sell on Amazon. Please do feel free to pause the video and have a read of these lovely reviews that we've received. But do go onto Google, onto Trustpilot, and see more there. Now let's get started with our creative writing lesson. We're going to look at 4 steps to improve your story writing. We're really unlocking your creative writing skills just one step at a time to really help you progress with your skills, with your techniques, and with your structure. What are we going to do today? Well, firstly, we're going to learn a wonderful word. We're then going to warm up with a bit of a creative starter. We will spend a few minutes analysing a story before spending the majority of the time learning 4 steps to really improve your writing. So let's get started with our wonderful word. Now, every lesson within our courses, we give you a piece of ambitious vocabulary to try and use in your writing. So let's have a look at our word for today. Our word for today is cursory. Now, this is an adjective, and it means hasty and therefore not thorough or detailed. And I've got an example sentence here. She gave them a cursory glance. So it's a very hasty, quick glance and not a detail. She's not studying this person. She gave them, or the group of people, she gave them a cursory glance. Now, I wonder if you could write down this word. You can write down the definition as well so that you remember what the word means. And I want you to try really hard today to see if you can use this word in your little story that you're going to be writing. So jot this, you can pause the video and jot this word and definition down now. Off you go. Brilliant. Okay, let's get warmed up with our creative starter now. Really getting those creative juices flowing, getting those imaginations going as well. Our little challenge today, it's a short challenge, just spend a few minutes on this one. It's called Imagine If. Now, your challenge is to brainstorm as many imagine ifs as possible using this big image here to inspire you. I've got an example here. We've got this little image of the Mona Lisa. I'm sure you recognise that painting, a very famous painting. Now, I've written down some imagine ifs about this image of the Mona Lisa. I've said, imagine if the Mona Lisa began to sing like Beyonce. Or imagine if the Mona Lisa yawned loudly. Or imagine if the Mona Lisa asked the way to the shops. Just to get all those little ideas going. What I would like you to do now is do the same for the bigger image there. Brainstorm as many imagine ifs as possible and jot them down on some lined paper. Have fun with it. Pause the video and off you go. Well done. Okay, we're going to very quickly analyse a story and see what you think about this story here. It's called Lost, and I'll read it to you, and I want you to be thinking about how good is my story? What have I included, or what haven't I included? It says, Alex sprinted through the field and towards the woods, hoping that the man chasing him had given up and left him alone. After entering the woods, he soon found shelter and stopped to catch his breath. Panicking, Alex looked around and realised that he was lost. All of a sudden, he noticed a torchlight beaming against his clothes. It was his dad. Now, what do we think about this? Are there any good points to my story? What could you pick out? Pause the video and you can shout them out or tell an adult, what is good about my story? What have I used? Well, I quite like my word sprinted. I thought that was a bit better than ran. Alex ran through the field would be okay, but sprinted gives it a little bit more of an image. He's really running fast. I quite liked that I started one of my sentences after entering the woods. I thought that was quite a nice sentence opener. And I've got some nice panic conjunctions. Panicking, Alex looked around. I like that ing word to start my sentence. And all of a sudden. And then I've got a nice short sentence to end it, haven't I? But with all those good points, I think I can make this a little bit better as well. Because do we really know who Alex is and what he looks like? I haven't really mentioned anything about my main character. So I definitely think I could improve it that way. Do we know what the woods looks like? We talked about him running through the field towards the woods, but actually we've got no idea what type of wood this is, okay? What does it look like? How do we feel when we're in there? We really don't know much. And then do we understand how Alex feels at different points? Well, we know that he panics at one point, because we said panicking, Alex looked around. Apart from that, we don't really have many feelings within this story. So I think there's multiple ways of improving this story, and that's what you guys are going to help me with today. We're going to improve this story in 4 simple steps. Let's make this writing cool, says our little wolf down there at the bottom. So the first thing I've sort of used the skeleton of our story. I've put out our story into those different sentences. And what I would like to do is actually improve our story by adding more detail under each part of those. So firstly, we've got Alex sprinted through the field and towards the woods, hoping that the man chasing him had given up and left him alone. Now here would be a perfect opportunity to really give a bit of a character description and a setting description. We can use lovely vocabulary, we can use some lovely colour, and we could even add in some figurative language with some personification to perhaps describe the woods or describe our character. But generally, probably you're going to be looking at that personification of the setting. After entering the woods, he soon found shelter and stopped to catch his breath. After this bit, this is a perfect opportunity to have a little bit of a weather description. And within a weather description, we can add beautiful writing skills and techniques, including some similes or metaphor, adverbs, and again, some personification. Okay, personification is a great one to use for settings and for weather. And then panicking, Alex looked around and realised that he was lost. Here, I could build up some suspense. Suspense is a great way of making your reader want to read on. We can use show, don't tell to build suspense. And we've got some other suspense techniques that I'm going to teach you as well that I want you to try and use in your story. And then finally, it says, all of a sudden, he noticed a torchlight beaming against his clothes. It was his dad. So here we can resolve our story. We can use some show don't tell to do this, and some show don't tell to really show the feelings perhaps of relief, of happiness, that it's just his dad there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to break this up into our 4 easy steps to improve it. So firstly, we're going to be describing the character and setting. Make sure you've got your pen or pencil and your paper ready, because you're going to write your first paragraph following these guidelines. We've got that first beginning section. Alex sprinted through the field and towards the woods, hoping that the man chasing him had given up and left him alone. I want you here now to describe Alex and describe the woods. Now I've got a bit of a structure there with some sort of blanks that you could fill in. You can use that if you need it as guidance, or you can come up with your own little paragraph, making sure you've described Alex and our setting of the woods. Now I want you to make sure that you include some colour adjectives, some personification, and some ambitious vocabulary. Remember our wonderful word from before? Can you fit that in, perhaps into this paragraph, or will you use it later? Up to you. Give yourselves around 7 minutes to write a beautiful paragraph describing Alex and the woods to go after that little bit at the top in the white box. Okay, so pause the video and off you go. Well done. Okay, you can have a look now at what I might have done. I've got Alex's emerald eyes darted from tree to tree, and he shivered beneath his torn, tatty t-shirt. The gnarled tree branches were twisted into ghostly faces that seemed to be staring at him with unsympathetic eyes. So I've got some lovely colour adjectives. I've described his eyes as emerald. Okay, I could put emerald green, or perhaps he's got sapphire blue eyes. I've also described his t-shirt, what he's wearing, his torn, tatty t-shirt. So I've got some more description for Alex within that first little sentence. I've then got some lovely description of my tree branches. They twisted it into ghostly faces. They seem to be staring at him with unsympathetic eyes, so some beautiful personification. And I've got some wonderful vocab as well. Gnarled, emerald, ghostly, twisted, a lovely verb there, twisted, staring, not just looking, staring at him. And we've got unsympathetic as well. How did you get on with that first paragraph? Did you manage to include colour adjectives, personification and vocabulary? I hope so. If you need to, pause the video and edit or improve your work even more. Let's go on to step 2 now. Step 2 is describing the weather. We're going to, again, similar thing, you're going to start a new paragraph and you're going to describe the weather in at least 3 sentences. Alex is scared, so what do you think the weather could be like? Could it reflect his feelings, perhaps? You can start with that white box again at the top. After entering the woods, he soon found shelter and stopped to catch his breath. You're then going to go into that description of the weather. If you want to use those sentence guidance with the blanks there, you can do that. Otherwise, you can create your own beautiful paragraph. But there's 3 things that I want to see if you can include in this description of the weather. Firstly, can you include either a simile or a metaphor or both? Can you include some lovely adverbs to describe and add detail to your verbs? And can you include some personification as well? Personification is wonderful when you're describing the weather. So see if you can add that in as well. Spend around 5 minutes on this little bit. Enjoy your writing. Use that guidance if you need it. Off you go. Brilliant. So your story is really starting to take shape now. Let's move on to, before we do that, have a listen to my little paragraph that I've written. Screaming like a boiling kettle, the cruel wind ferociously attempted to push Alex over onto the rugged ground. Ominous clouds like dark chimney smoke crept menacingly across the obsidian sky. In the distance, the lightning was a knife cutting the earth into 2 fragile pieces. So, I've got a simile, like a boiling kettle, okay? I've actually got a metaphor down the bottom there as well. The lightning was a knife cutting the earth into 2 fragile pieces. Have I got any adverbs? I've got ferociously, I've got menacingly. And personification, I've got this cruel wind screaming, haven't I? Screaming ferociously. Really beautiful personification to describe that weather. I've also made sure that I've still got some ambitious vocabulary in there. Ominous, obsidian, fragile. And as well as that, I've got some lovely sentence openers. I've started with an ing word, screaming, like a boiling kettle. I've got a simile as well, haven't I there? Ominous clouds, in the distance, okay, adding a little bit of detail to where this is happening. How did you get on with your paragraph, with your description of your weather? Okay, you've now done your step 2. We're on to step 3 now. You're building suspense. This is a fun part, okay? We really want to grab our readers' attention and make them want to read on to find out what happens. Here, we're going to start with that sentence. Panicking, Alex looked around and realised that he was lost. If you want to amend it slightly, you can do. If you want to make it even better, you can do. You're then going to write a paragraph about how Alex is feeling. Now, I don't just want you to tell me that he's feeling scared. I want you to show me. What happens when you are scared? What happens to your eyes? What happens to your body? What happens to your skin? Think about showing me the fear, if it's fear, that he's feeling. He's panicking, isn't he? Show me that feeling rather than tell me. And then I want you to build suspense using some different techniques. Now, I've got a few techniques here for you to use. We've got more that you could use. I'm sure you know other techniques. But the 3 that I want you to try and use this time are onomatopoeia, questions, so rhetorical questions, and figurative language. So see if you can include those in this paragraph. You can use my sentence structure there to help you fill in those gaps. Or if you don't need that guidance, you can write your own paragraph. Remember, we're thinking about how Alex is feeling, showing me how he's feeling rather than telling me, and building some suspense. Get that reader excited about reading on. Spend around 7 minutes on this section. You can pause the video and off you go. Brilliant. So we are building up our climax to our story. We're on to step 4. Before we do that, I'm going to read my little example paragraph here. His body trembled and his heart began to race uncontrollably. How would he get back home? An unfamiliar noise came from behind him. Tap. There it was again. His shivering hands shook like an earthquake. Fear grabbed him and left him gasping for air. So, I've included suspense techniques, haven't I? I've got some onomatopoeia, tap. I could have repeated that as well throughout. I've got a question. How would he get back home? And I've got some figurative language as well. His shivering hands shook like an earthquake. I've got that simile in there. I've also used what we call either the monster effect or sort of abstract personification. Fear grabbed him and left him gasping for air. Okay, a really lovely way of really showing that feeling of Alex and how scared he's feeling. I've got show, don't tell throughout. So rather than just saying that Alex was feeling scared, I've actually said his body trembled. His heart began to race uncontrollably. I've just shown the reader that he's feeling scared. I haven't had to tell them because they will have been able to pick out and use their inference skills to know that he's feeling scared through that description. I've also continued to try and think about my sentence openers and using some ambitious vocabulary. Okay, on to step 4 now. Resolve your story. You're going to write your final few lines following my guidelines here. We've got a resolution and we need some happiness, okay? We've had some sort of fear and some panic. We want a bit of happiness because it all ends well. All of a sudden, he noticed a torchlight beaming against his clothes. It was his dad. Now, how is he feeling now? Relief, happiness, surprise. But don't just tell the reader that. Show the reader his surprise and happiness. Use my sentence guidelines there if you need it, or you can create your own sentences, of course. But don't forget to continue using all those lovely writing skills, ambitious vocabulary, figurative language, colour adjectives. Show, don't tell, to show that happiness, to show that relief. Okay, spend around 5 minutes on this section. Pause the video and off you go. Okay, let's have a look at my little example paragraph. Alex's eyes danced for joy whilst he raced excitedly towards his father. Wrapping his arms tightly around his father's familiar figure, he felt a surge of warmth wash over him. "I missed you, Dad," Alex whispered as tears of happiness welled in his eyes. So here, I've definitely got a resolution to my story, haven't I? It ends nicely. There is a closure to my story. I've got some happiness. I haven't just told the reader that he's happy. I've actually shown it. I've shown it through his eyes dancing for joy. He's racing excitedly towards his father. He's wrapping his arms tightly around his father's familiar figure. Got some lovely alliteration in there as well. You know, it shows his relief, doesn't it? He felt a surge of warmth wash over him. Again, some show, don't tell. And really lovely, I've added a little bit of speech into my story as well, because I haven't got any speech elsewhere. So it's nice to have a little bit of speech within your stories as well. And I haven't just said Alex. Alex whispered. And I've extended that speech as well by adding a little bit more information to show how he's saying it, as tears of happiness welled in his eyes. How did you get on with that final resolution paragraph? I hope you managed it, and I hope you showed his surprise and his happiness there. Fantastic. So well done. Hopefully now you have got a much improved story from our original piece of writing that we had at the very beginning. This is mine. You could have a read of yours. See if you've included all the different writing skills and techniques that you could. If you think you can edit it and improve it, then do so. Well done, everyone. Super story. Now, we have a number of Bright Light Education courses, as I mentioned at the beginning. We've got courses for years 2 to 3, including our smashing story skills, our imaginative ideas, cracking comprehension, which has creative writing in it as well, aspiring authors and superhero storytellers. And for years 4 to 6, we have core skills and story writing, our writing for different purposes course. We've got a creative writing tasks course and a comprehension course. They are all wonderful courses. They're also ideal preparation for 11 plus if that is what you are doing. So you can get in touch with us to join one of our courses, and I look forward to seeing you on them. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.